Hello everyone, my name is Charles McCormick. I'm the Chief of Police here in the city of Monroe, Michigan. So last evening at approximately 8:03 p.m., officers of the Monroe Police Department were dispatched to gunshots fired in the 300 block of Kentucky Avenue, which is approximately 10 blocks from where we're at right now. Upon arrival, the first responders located two victims, a female who had been shot twice in her arm, and a male subject who had been shot in the neck. First responders, along with the Monroe City Fire Department, Monroe County Ambulance, worked on both of the victims. The 38-year-old, both victims were City of Monroe residents. 38-year-old male victim was pronounced deceased, I believe, either on his way to the hospital or shortly after he arrived at the hospital. 34-year-old female victim who was shot in the arm is just coming out of surgery at an area hospital. If there's any particular questions at this point, we do have a subject of interest that we're looking to speak with. We have several witnesses from the scene who are cooperating with us, and it is still an very active and ongoing investigation at this time.
Do you have a motive, sir?
I don't know if we're prepared to discuss that at this point.
Not at this time.
Can you tell us if they were on foot or if they were in a car, or what was the circumstance?
So initially our understanding is that the two victims arrived at the location on foot. After the shooting, the suspect fled in a vehicle.
Do you know this is drug related at all?
We're still looking into that.
Do you suspect that it's drug related?
We're suspecting.
I'm sorry, you are
Yes,
suspecting drugs?
Correct.
Are we talking straight drugs or opioids or what kind of narcotics?
At this point, we're not really looking to release that, but we will be shortly.
So does it look like the two victims were going to meet someone to buy drugs, or were they robbed?
Again, we believe all three people did know one another. Certainly, you know, as soon as we can give the information, we feel comfortable with giving the information out to the public. We don't want the public to believe they're just you know, an armed person out who's looking to shoot at people. There was some type of an argument that happened with three people who knew one another, and two of which were shot.
How much help is your female victim? Is she conscious? Is she giving descriptions?
So she just came out of surgery. Before she was being very cooperative, speaking with detectives and officers regarding the case and the investigation. She does need some time at this point now. There are further questions that need to be asked and additional investigations with her. But at this point, she's not available to us, but hopefully will be within the next couple of hours.
Did she specifically name a suspect?
She believes, yes, she knows who the person was.
She said this is John Doe.
Correct.
How many people saw this?
There was a lot of foot traffic in the area. A quick look at the report, I would say there's probably over a dozen witnesses listed. Now that doesn't mean that those dozen people were actually there and watched it, but several people heard. A lot of the information we received from the public corroborated what, you know, as far as the number of shots and whatnot. So,
can you say how many shots?
At this point, we were aware of 4 shots being fired, which was corroborated by the witnesses and shell casings recovered at the scene.
I'm assuming it's rare for Monroe to have a homicide. Is this the first of the year, or?
Yes, this is the first homicide we've ever shared.
The two victims, as they were they walking to a car, or were they going into a house?
They were meeting this person of interest at a location in 300 block of Kentucky Avenue.
So did they go into the house, or did they go into a car?
We don't believe they entered the home, but they were in the yard area of the home when this incident occurred.
And do they live in this home?
They live about 2 blocks away, is their listed address from the location of the shooting.
What does that home have to do with the investigation then?
I'm sorry?
In 300 block, the home in the 300 block?
Yes.
That's roped off?
Yes.
What does it have to do with the investigation?
That's where the shooting occurred.
So that's just where it occurred?
Yes.
But it was outside that house?
Yes.
Any connection to the people who live inside?
Yeah, a search warrant was conducted inside the home there in the 300 block of Kentucky.
And so are people inside the home connected to the case?
One of the persons who had been staying there, yes, is a person of interest.
So would that person be the shooter?
We don't know at this time. We're still working, obviously, with several witnesses. One of which being the female who just came out of surgery.
Is there a vehicle involved in this?
Some of the technical questions I will ask for you to speak with Captain Wall, who is in charge of the Detective Bureau. I don't want to overspeak what sometimes the chief gets up here and says some things that he might or may not should have said, so I don't want to do anything at this point that would hamper the investigation, so.
Is this a known drug house?
Not to my knowledge.
So
But
this
I've
house
not looked at.
This house wasn't on your radar at all?
I can't speak to that.
How about any of these individuals? Do they have criminal records? Your two victims, your potential gunman?
I'm not aware of any criminal history with the victims. I don't know, and I'm not 100% certain on the person we're looking to speak with.
Can you tell us who called 911? Was it one of the victims, or was it someone in the area that helped the victims?
Both. We had at least 2 911 calls, I believe, on us.
How many murders do you have a year in Monroe?
Well, I'll tell you, will be my 4th year as chief. This is my first murder. So we've had as many as 3 in a year, but I think, or maybe 1 year 4 in the late 80s. But we've had 1 a year for a number of years, but this is the first one since 2015. I believe.
How soon do you think you'll be able to pick up the person of interest?
I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Captain Wall at this point.
Thank
Would
you.
ID yourself, sir, please?
Captain J.D. Wall. At this time, our detective bureau is actively seeking our person of interest, using different mediums that we have to look through phones and other sources that they have to track down this individual. At this point, it's very important that we do speak with this individual, and certainly there's always 2 sides to every story, and it's important that we get that side as well. But we have a whole team of detectives at this point, including our vice unit, that's working in concert with some other agencies as well that are helping us out with some tips and trying to corroborate all these statements and information together.
I want to go back and ask you again, obviously, the 2 victims were on foot, and this person of interest, was that male in a car?
The male was not in a car. The person of interest was in the home.
Is there a car involved?
It's suspected that there is a vehicle that's involved, but it would be more of a getaway vehicle, if anything, but we're not certain of that. That's just preliminary information that we had, but that hasn't been confirmed at this point. As Chief McCormick has mentioned earlier, this case is unfolding minute by minute for us, and our detectives are working feverishly to gain more information and help put the pieces of this puzzle together to figure out how this all fits and what we really have in this particular circumstance. As this information comes forward and we get more definitive information, we will release that at the time.
Do you think if you sort of decided in your mind you're gonna go this alone for a while, but at some point you might put a description out of your person or even a photo and ask for the public's help through the media?
We will.
And a description of the getaway vehicle?
For me to say that this is a getaway vehicle is kind of presumptuous on my part. We're not absolutely certain that that is the case with this car. We are working closely with the prosecutor's office right now, step by step, so they're involved with this investigation also. As we get more information that we can release to the public, we will do so.
You have a positive ID from your surviving shooting victim. You're searching for this guy. At what point do you call this a man?
We're still waiting to speak with our female victim. Like she said, like the chief has mentioned, she has come out of surgery and is doing well, expected to recover, and we're waiting for a moment where it'd be in everyone's interest to speak with her. So as she starts to recover and actually comes to, we can then start to speak with her more in depth about more detailed information that we're seeking to get.
Understood, but as of 8 o'clock last night or 8:30 last night in that time frame, she gave you a specific name of who she believes or she says is the person who pulled the trigger. And right now you have a murderer on the run, correct?
That is correct. She gave us a first name only at that point, and so it was basically trying to figure out who this person could be in relationship to how the shooter would have known our two victims in this case.
And does the first name match who would be, through a public record search, lives in that house?
We had some question with the spelling of how that all went down, and we're gathering some evidence that would suggest that this individual is staying in that home.
Renter, tenant?
We don't know that yet.
What are the names of the victims?
We're not releasing that at this time.
Why?
Well, we just notified fairly recently the death of the male victim, and it's very fresh in at this point. And with us still looking to seek out our person of interest here, I don't want to leave too much information out. I would certainly want him to come in and talk with us without revealing our hand too much.
Both these victims are in their 30s. Have they lived here all their life?
I don't know if they've lived here in Monroe their whole life.
This area generally?
They do live here in the city
But
currently.
You established they didn't move from any other state or city?
Correct.
And your person of interest, also a longtime resident?
Yes.
Age on him, approximate?
23.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.